Well, well, welcome back to the next segment. Again, I'm cutting them up to see because upload speeds kind of a drag, especially when you're using like an iPod. So it's kind of a shitty deal. But I think cutting them up into segments kind of gives it's faster for me. And like say, hey, one person, it doesn't take too much time out of people's day. They watch one segment, they got shit to do during that day. And ooh, fuck! As I'm doing this video, he just messaged me back to what I asked him, and he's explaining it to me now. But as soon as I learn this out, and you guys can bet your asses, once I start getting more into this, I will give you guys the semi-concrete from electrical engineer. I will go through it. I'll explain it as I'm doing it. So that I will do that, and that's what I like about vaping. And I might not be the biggest channel, but hopefully some people who will watch my video on that when that time comes, they can take away some shit that's actually from a person who's studying to be an electrical engineer, who has learned this, who knows what the fuck they're talking about. And I'm not the electrical engineer, but I got it from an electrical. I keep calling him electrical engineer, but that's what he's studying to be, and he's already got his bachelor's in it. So he still has a few more years until he gets his master's, but he's a bachelor's degree as an electrical engineer. So oh fucking he just did he did that. He just sent it. More explanation, but you guys, I'll tell you all that, go more into detail from what he said to me once I get to that step. And, so then that way, it's not I'll simplify it and I'll explain it the best I can, because I can explain shit, really, go through the list. So that's one thing that I like about vaping, because it's also a hobby side, but there's some shit that, information that, I've looked on YouTube. I've looked God knows how long, and forums is just a bitch. I looked on forums, and I just can't make heads or tails, and from someone who's learning electrical engineering, I'll give you guys what he says and what he's learned, and what he's told me, and I hope that helps you guys when the time comes. But that's not entirely what this video is about. But there's I was watching Skullcross Dips. She had a great fucking thing. But before we get to her, yeah, I'm wearing a bandana. A little backstory is during the summer, last summer, well, a couple summers, my hat makes it really hot. And for all you guys that don't know, this is where most of your heat escapes. That's why in winter, people say don't, trim your hair, but don't shave it, because your hair is what helps hold the heat in. And when, hands, head, and your feet is where you lose the most heat from. Because usually those are the most exposed parts of your body, but your head is the one place other than your feet that you lose the most heat. And with your feet, it's harder to get warm than it is your head, because, well, your feet's farther away from your heart, which, heart rate, you get your heart rate up, hence it pumps blood faster through your system, and that's why you get so heated. You get overheated, and, your feet get warm. But during the summer, this is the one place that you lose the most heat from. It's been medically proven. So that's why in the winter you want to keep your dome covered. But in the summer, you can get it. You wear a hat, fucking sweat more when you're wearing a hat than not. And that's because the heat escaping from your head is trapped. And with hats, there's certain types of hats. that let heat out faster, but that like my baseball style hat, with the flex fit, that traps heat in like a motherfucker. But yeah, so I wore a bandana. I went to Walmart, bought neutral colors because fucktards, that's one thing. You fucktards fuck everything over for people who they use it for affiliations and shit like that, and they do it for what the purpose isn't intended for. Um, Except for drug fucktards, alright? We all seen those, we all know those. Those guys fuck people over, and and they use the drug for what it's intended for most of the time, and a lot of times, like pills, they don't. That's about the only time they don't use it for what it's intended for. Or sometimes they overuse it, and if though they still fuck people over, not only in the general sense of like their family and shit, but also now they can fuck their family over more by they post that shit to social media sites, and this is one of her points: bragging about your drug use can not only just hurt you, but people who associate with you. It's like the trickle down effect. Even though that person may not use the drugs or be highly associated with you, but they're still they affiliate that person with you, and that could potentially fuck them over out of a job, or fuck them over in their job. A little backstory: I have a cousin who works, and she's a professional. Not in the sense she wears a suit and tie; she wears her own type of uniform, but just because she's affiliated with me. Hold on, I'll be back. Oh, it wasn't for me, but just because being affiliated with me, even though I don't post, I don't post my drug use, even though I don't really do drugs. I do, I do use marijuana from time to time, but I don't post like that. I'm not like a heavy advocate. I don't protest this shit, and I just kind of post on my social media site about legalization and shit like that, and just little tidbits of news information from reliable sources, and kind of affiliate with that kind of movement, and that could have potentially affiliated affect her, even though she may or may not agree with what I post, but that could fuck her over. And she had to unfriend me, even though we're family. And she doesn't hate me, none of that. Or actually, we're pretty, we're good. We're on good standings, none of that. But it was because of her job, and that could have potentially affected her, and could have gotten her fired, even though it wasn't her, it was me. And it's bullshit in a sense, but people start to look at social media sites a lot more now, because they can, that's one of the best ways to tell how a person is or who a person is, based on what they post and based on the people they're surrounded by. Like I said, it's the trickle down effect. So, or otherwise known as the domino effect. So, you push, you know how you play dominoes, or you set up dominoes. You hit one and all of them fall down. It's pretty much the essential. But basically, it's more like the trickle down effect, because I've, based on my affiliations or whatever, it trickles down onto the people who affiliate with me. Whether they may agree with what I post or not, that isn't the point. It's because they're in association with me. Basically, it's bullshit, but it happens, and it happens a lot now, because people love social media site, and they post a lot of shit to social media site. Another case in point, I had an aunt who she's like a manager in her job, and She's worked at this same company for years, but and she's earned her position. But she had workers underneath her that they got in a fight over Facebook, and it brought into the company. Now this isn't totally on drugs, but this is another example of how Facebook and social media sites can fucking get you fired. Well, I'll hit you over in the next segment.